right, if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. Now to our main conversation for today. A bill seeking to create a state police has passed a second reading at the House of Representatives plenary on Tuesday. The bill carries the title, A Bill for an Act to Alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic for Establishment of State Police and for Related Matters. It was sponsored by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Okezie-Kalu and 14 others and was passed after intense debate. Tolani Shagaya said the bill seeks to navigate the complex landscape of security challenges by empowering the states with the means to address issues unique to their locale, noting that the alteration, if successful, will represent not just legal adjustment to the ground norm, but a visionary leap towards a safer, more secure, and harmonious Nigeria. The key features of the proposed law will transfer police powers from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. We meet in the studios today to do justice to this headline, and the main conversation for today is Emeka Madunagu. He is a journalist and also a public affairs commentator. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
And welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Yes, yeah, yes.
All right, so let's dig deep into this area of interest. Of course, it borders around security improvement in our various states and the need for Nigeria and states to have state police, and which just like we read, is going through the National Assembly and all. So what do you think Nigerians should expect from this, especially now that our legislatures are beginning to take part actively in making it happen?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's so far so good, yes. State police is very important because this is a democracy. So we must, as a good governance advocate, I must encourage steps towards ensuring that democracy is practiced, in its truest form. True federalism is practiced in its truest form. So definitely we have called for the tweaking of the exclusive legislative list, which gives the federal government exclusive powers over certain issues. And that some of these things need to be looked at. Some need to be moved to the concurrent list, so that states can also participate. So to that extent, it is a welcome development that state police, that there are moves to take policing away from the concurrent list to the, from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. But be that as it may, you see, the unfortunate thing is that in over 20 years of the Fourth Republic, Nigerian politicians have not shown the capacity to embrace issues that are germane to the development of the country. And as a result, they just jump on the bandwagon. They are, you don't find rigorous thought are being applied to issues. Who has really sat down to organize a public debate on the desirability of state police? Why do we need state police?
Exactly.
What is wrong with the federal police? These are questions that should have been asked, first of all, before embarking on this alteration. How do we fund the state police? We know that the governors are actually the ones that have really funded the logistics of the police and other security agencies over the years, buying vehicles for them, buying, building police stations, and providing a lot of things that they need. So, if we have state police, can the governors really fund it?
But just like you said, they've been funding it. So.
Logistics.
Okay.
Is a different kettle of fish. Logistics is just one aspect of it. You talk about salaries.
Okay.
Is it governors who cannot pay minimum wage that will fund state police? You are talking of people with arms. If you owe them, let me not go there. But the point is that they are not like pensioners who will be begging you for money, crying. They have weapons. So we should be very careful about how we are moving towards state policing. Because you're going to be training thousands more Nigerians in weapons handling. Now that will add to the thousands of Nigerians in who have, through unconventional means, acquired knowledge in weapons handling. Yes, people, insurgents and terrorists. So you'll now be adding to the number of Nigerians who are able to handle, who are able to handle heavy weapons. Not shakabula or Dane guns. Or you're not talking of AK-47. You're not talking of AK-49.
But Emeka, this seemed to me like an old wine in a new bottle. And the reason is because we still haven't nipped the problem in the bud. We've seen...
No, let me ask you, what is the problem?
Now, I think, personally, I think, in my opinion, that just like I had said, we've not nipped the problem in the bud because the issue of federal police hasn't been taken care of. Because if there is good governance on the part of ensuring that the federal police that we have is efficiently managed, do you think we would see any reason for state police even in the first place?
No, of course. Like I said, we're a democracy. To practice true federalism means that there are certain things you must necessarily democratize. It's a requirement for the practice of true democracy. And as it stands, of course, it's very clear that the federal police is not working to the best interest, in the best interest of Nigerians.
So why not we concentrate on ensuring that it works in the best interest of Nigerians?
You see, you know how many Professor Tekena Tamuno is the #1 authority in terms of research into policing and all of that. He has prepared position papers. Were they implemented? MD Yusufu, who is a former IG of police, was the person who bought armored personnel carriers, the APCs you see today being used in some states. He bought APCs in the 70s. The military said no, they couldn't be used. The military seized them, that the police could be tempted to plan a coup and overthrow the government. That was under Yakubu Gowon. So, successive attempts, issues of funding and all of that, have not yielded the desired outcomes to ensure safety and well-being. Because the Constitution says that the state must ensure the safety and well-being of the citizens. The federal police has not guaranteed that. So, and again, we need to also sort out the distortions in our laws.
Okay.
In the criminal code, it gives citizens the right to self-defense. Yes. That they can defend. Yes, it's in the criminal code.
Isn't there?
But again, you find out that in the Police Establishment Act, it says only the police and other security agents can handle weapons. There was a ruling of the Supreme Court, a landmark judgment that said that citizens it was arising from a case in Anambra State that citizens can effect the prosecution, can actually embark on private prosecution of matters. But who is observing it? Then you look at issues of funding. You see huge budgets for the police that are not even adequate. But at the end of the day, how much cash backing do those budgets have? How much is actually released to the police?
But Emeka, you will agree with me that before now we had regional police and which collapsed.
Yes.
Right? So why do you think that there's still need for us to go back to such, knowing that what collapsed, the former, might equally affect what we intend to do in the future?
No. The regional police didn't collapse.
So what happened?
What collapsed was the political system. there was a coup of January 15, 1966 that suspended democratic governance, that suspended the parliamentary system of government then. So that's why the military came on board and, adopted a unitary system of government based on the Decree 34, of 1966, which brought in unitarism. So since then, it's been, more of, we've been running Nigeria more as a unitary system, giving undue powers to the federal. Whereas the states are actually sub-sovereign, sub-nationals, who should, as a matter of fact, control certain things. But the question I ask is this. It is not about the nomenclature. It's about the intent.
Yes, because...
And then the implementation. Because look at it. Is it... governors are actually in charge of lands. The land use decree gives governors control over the lands in their territory. But what do you have? Governors are begging President Bola Tinubu to release grains. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard?
But don't you think that is a case of gross ineptitude on the part of those in power?
So if you can do that, what you control, land that you control, you cannot make good use of land that you control. You now want to go into a more sophisticated area, which is policing.
That's exactly because, you would agree with me that the regional police, collapsed. I would think that because it was used to winch hunt political enemies. So don't you think that
it was majorly in the West. That was majorly in the West.
And not in the
not everywhere,
yes,
the East and the North, not majorly like that. But you see, today, I support state police, but what I would like to say is that the problem of headsmen, which we are trying to use state police to solve, is just leaving the wound and treating the symptom. Those headsmen are actually hired terrorists. Many of them have no heads. They are not controlling any cows. From security reports, they are not controlling any cows. These are people hired even from outside Nigeria to destabilize communities and grab land. So these are things that is an issue that can be solved politically. There can be political solutions. If you find out those who are actually pushing them, you can get them to say, listen, now we commit to withdrawing our support for the headsmen. And they would all disappear from the forest. 2, the governors also control the forests. There's no doubt about that. They're supposed to have forest rangers. But who controls forest rangers? It brings us back to the issue of weapons handling. In emergency situations, you have to call the IG.
Okay.
The state commissioner has to call the IG. So if the IG is sleeping or the IG is busy with one thing or the other, until he gives an order for deployment of, policemen to counter a serious emergency problem, you don't see the police. No. You cannot entrust the internal security of an entire country of 200 million people, 36 states, 774 local governments to just one man. It is not done. It is wrong. To that extent, I support state police, a situation where you have policemen who know the environment, who are conversant with their local environment, and can actually, respond to the challenge. They know what the challenges are. But you see, the other issue is this. The dimensions of crime today have gone very sophisticated. So it's not just what you need, state police, just a few policemen carrying guns with the uniform of one state and moving about. Criminals have become very sophisticated now. You even have infiltrators from other countries. So you have terrorists. So in talking about state police, we should also talk about a total review of the security system in Nigeria. How do we deal with, for instance, threats from terrorists? Is it the state police that will initiate a response, either a challenge, or is it the federal police? How do you deal with oil theft, for instance?
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you look at this, look at the Supreme Court judgment on littoral states, 200 nautical miles and all of that, you'll have to consider that that's under the control of the federal government. And then look at other issues, associated issues. So, and how do you now arrange the relationship between the federal and the state police? How do you make sure that the state police are not used against political opponents of governors? The governors will tell you that they are chief security officers of their states in name only, but the same governors will use the sophisticated intelligence equipment, security equipment given to security agencies to track their opponents.
Now, Emeka, please, I would love you to hold your thoughts on that. We'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, it's still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
All right, still on the issue of state policing, I still have with me in the studios Emeka Emadunagu, and so let's continue from where we stopped. And the big question I actually wanted to ask is, I think it's at this point very important that we localize our solution. There's need for every Nigerian, every region to have a stake in the overall gains of the country. A Fulani herdsman has the right as a Nigerian to peddle his business wherever he suits. And why do you think, the state policing should rather be made a subject because of them? Now, we have to understand that the innocent ones amongst them who are peddling their business don't not causing any mayhem.
No, don't get me wrong.
So why should we peg?
No, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I said the main problem today, one, herdsmen, two, kidnappers, then terrorists, Boko Haram, ISWAP, and then sundry other crimes.
Okay.
Now, let me rephrase it this way. This is 100%. I believe that 60 or 70% of our problems are actually induced by survival issues.
Survival issues.
Issues, yes.
Okay.
Socio-economic problems are actually tied to socio-economic problems.
Okay.
Now, if government can work out some ingenious ways of dealing with those survival issues, it will, let me borrow this time, drain the swamp.
Okay.
It will remove so many people from crime. Okay. And then move them into productive ventures. That's why I said ingenious. Okay. Government has to really be ingenious, because you see, someone who has been in kidnapping, for instance, and has made millions from it, how do you win the person off such, criminal tendencies? That's why government has power to do so many things. So government has to be ingenious. Government has to be very creative, in dealing with this. So if you can deal with 60% of our issues that are tied to survival, to socio-economic challenges, then you would have reduced the propensity for crime in Nigeria.
Okay.
Which, if you look at the Scandinavian countries, where some of whom have closed down their prisons, they actually dealt with those issues. All over the world, governments provide subsidies for food. Go and check the developed nations of the world, the leading nations of the world. They make sure
for the food is
they
really
make fuel may be expensive. Fuel may be expensive, or petrol may be expensive, but food, they don't joke with it, because you know what? A hungry man is the most dangerous man around. Man's need for food is not something you can negotiate. A hungry man is a dangerous weapon. It's a dangerous bomb looking for where to explode. But the sad thing is that in Nigeria, we have come to a ridiculous level where some people will tell you there's no need for subsidies. How dare you? Do you understand what it means to run a society? Or you just, sound off because you are actually being subsidized. Nigerian politicians are among the most subsidized set of fellows in this world. So if government can pump in subsidies into food production, deal with the security issues, for instance. That's why I said adopt a political solution to the issue of headsmen. That's not difficult.
Okay.
Issue of kidnappers is easy for government to deal with. If government wants to end kidnapping, in 48 hours, government will do it. It's not a difficult thing to deal with because it's so easy to identify. See, there are gangs who recruit local hungry youths in local communities. But when you start, first of all, by cutting off their foot soldiers, their informants and all of that, you would have harvested a large pool of hands helping to run that criminal industry. Then dealing with the gangs is not a difficult thing. After all, Evans, the kidnapper. Of course, he was living a flamboyant lifestyle. But look at the people who are said to be working with him. Look at how wretched some of them looked. So, the security agencies started, first of all, by targeting those people. They got those people in. So they started reducing, the capability of Evans. Yes, his network. So by reducing it, they were gradually able to scale up until they got Evans.
All right, so let's look at this other burning issue. You talked about how that hunger is contributing to the menace. But let's take a look at regions where necessarily hunger is not the issue. And is
there a region like that in Nigeria?
No,
I would like to go there.
Yeah, please.
In Nigeria,
exactly,
where hunger is not an issue.
Exactly.
Please tell me where.
So let's look at agitation born out of secession in the southeast of Nigeria. Now, this is a very complex issue because the southeasterner is not doing what he is doing because he's hungry. He's rather doing it because there is an agenda for secession. Somebody is telling them the need for them to have a state or country of their own. So you would understand and agree with me that in the southeast of Nigeria, it's not necessarily the issue of hunger, but an issue of loyalty to a particular message. So how do you think state policing would work in this particular
I won't agree with that because if I call my tenant now, my tenant has not paid me every 6 months. My tenant has not paid me now for the last 6 months. If I call him right here now, he will, hunger. Oh.
Is it southeast or?
Southeast in my village. He will tell me, hunger. Oh. Everybody, everywhere, there's hunger, even though he has some portions of land that we allowed him to farm with. But the hunger is nationwide. Let nobody deceive us. Let me respond. Let me take your issue. Let me take your question gradually. So the hunger is widespread. Don't let anybody, blur the lines. Don't let anybody, give us wrong optics. The hunger is everywhere.
Okay.
But the issue about secession is a different conversation entirely, which is that, there is this feeling of, in the Southeast, that Southeast has been excluded from, the national cake, from also being a part of the sharing of the national cake, since after the Civil War. So these are things that are being addressed. Yes, I will tell you, for instance, part of the conversation is that, okay, you don't have many federal projects in the Southeast, which is true, but these things are being addressed. You saw, of course, the second Niger bridge. President Muhammadu Buhari commissioned it before he left. And I tell you, that second Niger bridge has actually significantly helped to ease movement into and out of the Southeast, even though it's not only Igbos that use the bridge. Then you look at, for instance, in Onitsha, a general hospital has been upgraded to a federal medical center in Onitsha, And then you find out here and there, but a
So
lot.
all of this, had any of this reduced the level of insecurity in the region? That is the question.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was trying to address
Okay.
your issue, your question in phases. So, now, going to the issue of agitation. The general response, the general conversation on the streets of the Southeast is that if government can bring Igbos more, into the general pool,
The coffers, yeah.
draw them in, if there's a sense of inclusivity, of the Igbos, that the agitation will fizzle out naturally. If you go to any part of the Southeast, people are not really so desperate about secession. Because you see, leaving an existing arrangement, a nation, it's not an easy thing. Go and ask South Sudan. It's not an easy thing. It's not just as easy as we'll go, we'll do this, we'll do that. Nigeria has serious problems. Nigeria, yes, has serious problems, which are affecting every part due to bad governance, due to failed governance, due to dysfunctional policies. But you see, unfortunately, successive governments have failed to address these issues, in the manner they ought to be addressed. For instance, look at the Boko Haram agitation. If President Umar Yar'Adua had taken a political stance on Boko Haram, it wouldn't have become the international problem it is today. Because when those people started, they were just some, let me take it back. Some years ago, when a group of Northern elders visited then Governor of Plateau State, Modu Sheriff, the leader of the delegation, Jerry Seni, former Minister of Federal Capital, he told him, he said, when we were coming, I saw a lot of youths on the street selling petrol. I still remember, the report was in The Guardian. He said, listen, Mr. Governor, that this is a dangerous thing, that these youths can be deployed, they can be recruited by evil minds, by criminal minds into really horrible ventures. That please do something, get these youths engaged. At the end of the day, what happened? When Boko Haram came on board, those were ready recruits. But this was a problem, a disaster foretold. If the governor had done something, when Jeruseni gave that warning, if the governor had done something, then Boko Haram maybe would never have seen the light of day. But Boko Haram was basically political, if you look at it to some extent, in one side. But government could have nipped it in the bud.
Now let's look at finally.
I'm not finished answering your question.
Yes, please. I
was trying to go to the Southeast.
Yes, but please, yes. I would love you to do that and add this next question so that we can all wrap up, because we're still talking about state policing and the inefficiency in it, or the little bottlenecks in it. Now let's take a very good clear case of Imo State with Hope Uzodinma, who is actively involved in a Agu that's currently causing mayhem in the state. Insecurity in Imo State is far more than other southeastern states in Nigeria. And
is that still the case now? I think it has gone down a bit.
It has gone down, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Imolites have come out to say that Hope Uzodinma, who is chairing the Ebobagu there, whom of course Asari has come to say they are his boys, he's a contractor running such people. Now let's take a look at that from the issue of state policing and how that can be effective, knowing that the people are anti the state policing as headed by governors, with the case of Hope Uzodinma.
No, let me tell you.
So
let me tell you something. Looking at the history of Nigeria, see, that's why I was, when I started my opening remarks, I said we like bandwagon effect. We just look for the latest trending topic, and then if it looks like some benefits will come out of it, you see politicians jump on it. That's why I said the state policing. Yes, even though for many years that we talked about. Even though we're in the First Republic. But as governors, really, what are you going to do with state police? They cannot give, no governor today can give you 10 reasons you know, I mean, can tell you 10 things he will do with state police. No governor. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. No governor. So it's just about that bandwagon effect. That's why I said, deal with the existential issues, the survival issues, socio-economic issues. Remove, like what China did. Take health centers. How did China lift 800 million people out of poverty? They took healthcare. I took my time to study. They took healthcare to the remotest areas. They took education to the remotest areas. A lot, you know, they took things to those areas. So it wasn't like it's some far-flung villages. No. They made sure that government's presence was felt in those areas. And then also, China has what they call 3 policy banks. You know, 3 policy banks. These are like government intervention banks that give people loans at 4% interest rate, at single-digit interest rate. If you support people's businesses here and the SMEs, cottage industries, you remove the oppressive tax laws, double taxation and all that, multiple taxation. Let me tell you, businesses will thrive. A lot of people will be removed from crime. It's as clear as ABC. But when you reduce it to just issues of having state police, you buy guns, you buy weapons, and you have not dealt with the existential issues which led to that state of criminality, then you know what? You'll just be going round in circles. Because ask yourself, in the First Republic, what were those policemen actually doing? What were they really doing? What kind of crime did we have before the Civil War? Maybe people carrying pot of stew. You cook beans, you know, because you know many kitchens then were detached from it. Just people can carry pot of stew, carry pot of beans, and all of that. Those are still closed. Those are the kinds of crime. But after the Civil War, the dimensions changed. So what we need to do is this: there should be a public hearing, and then the National Assembly should engage. Somebody like Professor Tekena Tamuno. I don't know if he's still alive, but they should engage somebody like him, engage certain people who mean well for this nation. You know, both Nigerians and foreigners. Engage them so that they can get a holistic view of the dimensions of the security problems we have in Nigeria today. So that while you are bringing in state police, you're also dealing with the existential issues.
And just to add, Tekena is actually late. It's over 10 years now.
Well, but his works.
So maybe we should be talking or looking for someone else.
No, but his works are there. His works are there. There was a time I was part of a team that worked on a book on policing challenges in Nigeria. And we borrowed copiously from Professor Tekena's work. We got inspiration from his work. Yes, his works are there. There are other people too. There are other people, you know, there are various organizations. The DFID is there. The various, international development, assistance organizations are there. We can work with them so that when you deal with, you see so many youths hanging around street corners doing nothing. Those guys want to work. You may think they just want to go engage in betting and drinking. No.
If there's something for them.
If they are engaged, if they are inspired and engaged, and you know the way out, I keep saying it and I'll say it again. Agriculture, ICT. Those 2 areas, government should concentrate on those 2 areas. And then, thirdly, manufacturing. Sadly, since independence, manufacturing has not contributed more than 10% to Nigeria's GDP. Now, the 4th one, which will surprise you, is that we look at the Japa syndrome in the negative aspect. We don't realize that Japa should be added to our GDP because we're actually contributing human capital.
So you're simpatico with the governor who said let's export them so that they can bring an influx of money into the country.
But diaspora remittances.
But
have been giving us much more than oil.
But isn't that brain drain?
Which brain drain? Are you not training more? Are you not training more people? Your children are in school, my children are in school. See, let me tell you, what you actually get is brain gain. Because those people, they repatriate money, even though it's not a direct policy of government. But I think government should actually actively encouraging. Because migration is a human right. So when you do that, that should be listed as one of our exports. Human capital. Yes. But when we talk about exports, we talk about oil, we talk about cocoa. What about the human element? The human capital we're exporting daily. That is a major part of it, because if diaspora remittances can be giving us billions of dollars, what are we talking about? Our economy has been depending on that. So we should sit down and look at so many others, because this state policing thing will also involve fundamental constitutional review, talking about revenue allocation. It will involve a lot of things. So we should not be in a hurry just to go and put state police.
Exactly.
And then tomorrow problems we should have dealt with start cropping up.
Exactly. So there's so much to talk about, and we wish we had so much time to talk about this, but that's just about the time we have. Of course, just like Emeka did say, policing is so very, very important, but solving socio-economic issues in Nigeria would go a long way to making sure that policing is exactly what it should be in Nigeria. Thank you so very much, Emeka Madunago, for being part of our show today. And for you watching, we'd love to say thank you so very much also for making out time to be part of our show today, wherever it is you are joining us from around the world. But please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry. You could be. I'll see you tomorrow for yet another engaging time. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.